As you guys know, Karine Jean-Pierre, she's an immigrant from Asian relatives, family. She's also a LGBTQ person. And you can see how our system tries to discredit the other. And sometimes it is done in very, very subtle ways. And if you are, I pick it up and I tell folks about it, but most people are going to listen to this and just hear it, and then they won't really look at it until she does something, and then they associate that subliminal message that was imparted into their cranium, and then later it comes out. But if you know what is being done, you can actually look through things the correct way. You can actually say, ah, no, that is really, they're really trying to malign her. Let's go ahead and see this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
John Kirby, the admiral of coming in from the Pentagon, this comes in a moment as the communication staff is reshaped at the West Wing. Jen Psaki, of course, just left. Karine Jean-Pierre, the new press secretary, just started on the job this week. She had her first couple of briefings. But what Kirby brings to the White House is an expertise on foreign policy, which is something Karine Jean-Pierre does not necessarily have. Her background is politics, domestic issues. So there's a sense that there will be a little bit of, there's no question, Karine Jean-Pierre is the press secretary, but we'll have more of an elevated role here out of the National Security Council for John Kirby than we should, I'm told by officials, expect to hear from him at White House briefings as well, particularly on matters when it comes to the war in Ukraine and other foreign policy concerns.
How condescending. Yeah, Karine Jean-Pierre is, she's a press secretary, no doubt, she's a press secretary. But we have this other guy that he'll be able to come and explain these little political things to her. Well, guess who has more knowledge in government than Jen Psaki? Look, Jen Psaki was great. She's a great communicator. I love Jen Psaki. I think she's one of the best that ever held that office. But you know what? Karine Jean-Pierre just started. But the other thing about Karine Jean-Pierre is that when you look at her qualifications next to Jen Psaki's qualifications, you look and you say, okay, you have this major. You have Jen Psaki is an English major, and we have this person who has poli-sci and public, meaning Karine Jean-Pierre, public policy, government policy, etc., in her education. They never once said that about Jen Psaki. They never questioned her because you know what press secretaries do. They are briefed, they are educated on every particular issue they need to talk about. You don't have to say that person isn't experienced in foreign policy. That's not her job. But the thing about it is, she is more experienced in foreign policy than is Jen Psaki. So why did he talk about Jen Psaki? He talked about Karine Jean-Pierre. He didn't say, well, it would have been interesting if he would have said, well, you know, Karine Jean-Pierre comes and in the public sector, she's a bit more educated in that matter than Jen Psaki, but still they're bringing another person into the fold to her in these difficult times. That's not how they framed it. They framed it as she's new, she's not as experienced, and they just went ahead and said Jen Psaki is leaving. The subliminal message is that the transition is a transition down and that she needs help. It couldn't be further from the truth, but that's what that journalist have in his head because of who it is sitting back on that press conference.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.